A leader recently told me about their team's communication problems. People weren't speaking honestly in meetings. Frustrations were showing up inside conversations instead of team discussions, and decisions were being questioned after the fact. Trust seemed to be slipping. So they wanted help improving communication. A few weeks later, I spoke with someone else who was convinced that they had a favoritism problem. Several employees believed certain team members received more flexibility, more support, and more influence than others. Whether it was true or not almost felt beside the point. People believed that it was true, and that belief shaped how they were showing up at work. And the leader wanted help addressing that perception. On the surface, these seemed like completely different situations: communication, favoritism, trust, morale. But after years of working with organizations, schools, leadership teams, and communities, I realized that these surface level problems are usually symptoms of something much deeper. Conflict reveals culture. When people stop speaking honestly in meetings, that tells us something about their culture. When employees assume that decisions are being made unfairly, that tells us something about the culture. When accountability feels inconsistent, when resentment grows, when people begin protecting themselves instead of collaborating, when good people start leaving, those things rarely appear out of nowhere. They emerge from a set of experiences that people have over time. They emerge from culture. Not culture as the mission statement on the website or the values painted on the wall. Culture is the lived experience of trust, power, accountability, and belonging. I created the show because I often think we rush too quickly to solutions. I'm guilty of this myself. How do we improve communication? How do we reduce this conflict? How do we stop the drama? How do we get everyone back on the same page? Those questions aren't wrong, but before we can answer them, we need to understand what the conflict is actually revealing. Because conflict, complaints, resistance, silence, withdrawal are all behaviors that contain information. The question is whether we're willing to pause, get curious, and listen. On Conflict Reveals Culture, we'll take a look at a specific conflict facing a team and then explore what might be happening underneath. This isn't about finding villains, assigning blame, diagnosing people from a distance, or making any moral judgments. We're here to better understand the relationship between conflict, culture, trust, power, accountability, and repair. Because in my experience, conflict is often one of the most honest things that are happening inside of a system. The conflict itself isn't the problem, it's showing us exactly where we need to look. I'm David Ryan Barcega Castro Harris. Subscribe to Conflict Reveals Culture wherever you get your podcasts or on Substack to get it directly in your inbox. And if your team is navigating mistrust, harm, or leadership tension, visit Amplify RJ. I help values driven leaders get clarity about what's really happening, identify what accountability and repair require, and find credible steps moving forward. Peace.